everybody. I want to welcome you, first of all, to Stream Like a Boss TV and Get Noticed with Video. I'm Tanya Smith, and I have a very special guest who you can see sitting right next to me on screen. Is the amazing Dr. Pam Perry. Welcome, lady.
Thank you. Thank you. I love your opening. That is so cool. Well, of course, I would expect nothing less, right? Streaming like a boss. It was so cool. Cute, cute.
Thank you. And I loved yours too. We have to talk a little bit about some of that, this whole idea of like what to include in your videos and all of those things. But
Open and
first,
closes are at the main thing. It was like the first thing that I did when I said I would need a new podcast. I was like, I do open and close. And so actually that was my husband's voice on mine. He voiced it
was
over.
it really?
Mm-hmm.
It's got a
Yeah.
great voice. It's perfect.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. He could have been
Jay
Donnie Simpson.
Shabaka says, hello, ladies.
Hey
Hey, good to see
there.
you. Good to see you. Look, here's the thing. I'm going to share with people a little bit about you, Dr. Pam, but honestly, I just want to speak from the heart. Like, we're going to just have some conversation for the next like 20, 30 minutes or so, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've known Pam for, did we say 15 years?
At least 15, if not longer, because we have been around each other on Twitter and Facebook. It could have even been MySpace.
That's crazy. You're aging us now.
The
You're
people were like, "What's MySpace?" Yeah,
I know. Look, the reason why I think that it is so crucial to open yourself up to become, even if you don't love social media, to get
right.
online and to create relationships and to build relationships. Look, Pam and I, Dr. Pam Perry and I have never met in person. Not
Not
yet.
not face to face, right?
Not yet. But I feel like I've known her forever. I feel
Hmm.
like she has been kind of a beacon, right, in all these different spaces. And really, I want you to tell people a little bit about you. I can read a little bit from your official bio.
Nah, don't read that. They can read that
Okay.
on. They can read that.
Okay.
It's just
But
kind of like, oh, this kind of thing. But really, I'm a publicist. Classically trained publicist, I guess you would say. Journalism major, PR minor in college. Been doing this ever since I've got out of college in some form or fashion. And then even in high school, I was in journalism and advertising. I just I did an interview this morning with uh, Lisa, Lisa Wicker, and she asked me when did I decide that I really wanted to do what I was doing. I said I think I was about 16 when I read a book, and I read about this lady that was a copywriter. Didn't even know what a copywriter was, and I
mhm,
said I think I want to do that. And she was in the ad agency. The book was called Rosemary Touch. But the thing of it is that Rosemary Touch, it was a novel. It was so interesting. I just thought it was like I still have that book actually. I used to read on this on the way to school. The lady was a real advertising agency owner out of Ohio. And I remember when I was in college trying to decide for sure if I really wanted to go into advertising, I wrote her a letter, typed it up, sent it to her, and she responded and said, yes, advertising would be a great field. It's not a lot of women in it, this and that kind of thing. And so from there, I just really put my whole career into advertising, marketing, media, the whole journalism field. I've worked for a radio station. I worked for the Detroit Free Press. I worked for some TV stations, Christian television stations. So over the 20 years before I started my business, I really kind of had a lot of experience in different media. My favorite media is print. I love print. Even though I'm a social media and all this kind of stuff, I love print. I love
you
magazines.
are
I
a
love,
social media maven, though, so
I
that's crazy.
love print though. That's like my favorite because you could just hold it. And books. Books are obviously the thing that I do PR for authors and speakers. So
Yes.
authors and speakers, those that have messages that really want to change the world, coaches and things like that, people who have messages want to change the world, I do work with that. And so that's really like the background. People call me the PR angel. I help people manifest media, but really I train people how to be media students and then train them with media training so they know how to speak and feel comfortable on video. Television is one of the main things. So I had to learn social media. I mean, PR was changing. I saw that pretty early on. And a lot of my PR colleagues did not see that. And so I saw that people were really going past the gatekeeper and straight to their audiences, authors
Yeah.
particular. And they could reach their readers directly using MySpace or Facebook or any of those type of things. And so I
Yep.
realized that they can also reach their audience, but they can also reach the media directly. So I
Mhm.
knew at a certain point in time that the publicists wouldn't necessarily be needed to pitch the media, that people can pitch the media themselves. It's kind of common for people to do that today, if they know how. It's
Mhm.
not taboo. But when we first started, when I first started doing PR, you always had to have a publicist pitch you to radio, TV, or print, those kind of things. But now you can go straight to the source if you pitch them right, and you can get on media and land on media. So yeah, that's kind of like my backstory. I mean, I just love what I do. I've been doing it for so long. Social media keeps it interesting for me, though. Even though I'm still doing this in the same career, the
Mhm.
technology and the things make it interesting. So, like, I'll do a TikTok, or I'll do we're doing
I've
Restream or
seen you with some
StreamYard.
TikToks. I've
Yeah,
seen you do some TikToks, and I'm like, "Look at her, just go." And I always
I
have
did a
the
reel
opposite
today
side.
that was so cool. It was like showing me in an airplane. I just figured that out today. I was like, "Oh, this is so cool." I was like, "I'm in an airplane," and I mean, that's what makes it exciting because you have new things that you can do. Now, if I just sat at the desk all day, that's why I don't do corporate PR. Corporate
Yeah.
PR is pretty much, you got to stay in a certain box and you can't use certain colors and whatever. Well, if I'm
Mhm.
doing PR and marketing for my company, I can do it the way I want. Or if
Yeah.
I'm doing PR marketing for clients, I can be as creative as I want because they come to me for creativity. So yeah, it's what keeps me going. So I thought about it. I said I had like 25 years before I started my company, and then my company is 21 years. I'm like, oh my god, this is a long time. But like we said yesterday, it's like we're not going to we don't retire, we refire. We
Yep.
refire ourselves up. We don't retire. It's just really what we love to do.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
And I love that you have found your gift and that you operate in that every day. I love that.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, I need to give David his props. He says, "Shout out, blessings from Detroit."
Detroit Motown. There we go. Yes, yes.
And
Detroit.
Chanel
We have this
also.
Detroit love. I mean, it is one of those things where obviously, it's known as Motown, but if you're from Detroit, born in Detroit, especially child of the 60s, that was like the golden years, right?
Mhm.
Because you could run into anybody from Motown label around in the neighborhood. So yeah, it's
Yes.
cool. Hmm.
Yes. Love it, love it, love it. David said, "We don't retire. Our assignment has changed." I don't know why
Mm.
they're bleeping out. Oh, they didn't bleep it. Okay, they bleeped it out for me.
Oh, okay.
Assignment has changed. Awesome.
I love
That
that.
is
That's
true.
so
That is
cool.
true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had a client that for probably 40 years, I guess, she was in nonprofit PR, Dr.
Uh-huh.
Geneva, and she was on doing all the things with nonprofit United Community Service and starting a lot of nonprofits. And so she retired. And the first thing that she did, and we had her do, was a podcast on Blog Talk Radio. And she did like 50 something shows and she loved it. And then now she's streaming like a boss. She loves doing video, but she was scared to do video first. She was scared to do lives. She didn't like Facebook, but now she is on LinkedIn. She's doing lives on LinkedIn. Because it takes practice. Tanya,
It
it takes practice to get comfortable in front of the
does.
camera, to
Mhm.
talk, to not worry about what people think. She is senior, I guess you would say.
Mhm.
She's more senior than me. So I'm 61. So she's about, I won't say her age, but so if someone over 61 can get and start with
Yeah.
streaming and getting on video, what is the problem with you? I mean,
Yeah.
because they would say, oh, you can't, I can't learn anything new. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. It
Sure
depends if
can.
you want to do it. You just have to have the right coach, right equipment. She has the right lighting. She
Yeah.
has the ring lights. She got all kind of stuff. Yeah, she's kind of addicted to it now.
I love that. I love it. And we did kind of graduate from blog talk radio and went into other different types of media. One of the things that I can definitely say about you, and I feel I'm the same, is that when we see that there's something new, a new space, a new platform out there, we're willing to give it a try.
Yes.
And that's something
Clubhouse.
people have to be
Mhm.
willing to experiment and to
Yeah.
see if it's going to work for you or not. You can always say, you know what, that's not working, and let it go.
Yes, exactly.
'Cause,
That's the way it
see,
was
you're on
with Clubhouse.
Clubhouse now. Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah,
Talk
I
about
felt
that a little bit.
so when Clubhouse first, it was a social audio app. I wasn't really sure. I said, well, if I go on Clubhouse, are they going to hear everything? But you can mute yourself. I said, okay, well, that's good. I'll just watch. So you usually get on a new platform and just kind of watch and see
Yeah.
what the lay of the land is. And I remember Giselle called me on Thanksgiving Day or the day after Thanksgiving. Maybe it was the day after Thanksgiving and said, hey, I want you to get on Clubhouse. And I said, that was when you had to send a person an app, which was a brilliant marketing scheme too, by the way.
Yes,
It was like the
invitation.
only way you could get on Clubhouse is if you're invited. I'm like, you know what? So now it's so cool. But anyway, so I said, okay, I'll get on. And so when we got on, it felt like we were all talking in the same room.
Mhm.
And we could see each other's pictures. We couldn't see each other, which was cool. So you could walk around the house, you can go wherever, you could be in the car. I mean, it was just it's like a phone call, but a little bit more different than that.
Mhm.
And then they've upgraded it since then, where you can inbox people, you can put links up and on the in Clubhouse so that people can go to a live link. I mean, it's really probably since last year Thanksgiving, probably about what 5,000 people or so I have quote unquote have connected on Clubhouse. But it's different than Twitter, because Twitter would be like you're not supposed to follow as many people as
Oh,
you have,
yeah.
that kind of thing. You want a good ratio, like you want either it's even, but you don't want it. But with Clubhouse, it's different because the more people you have connected, the better the algorithms for people to find you, and you find what's going on in the hallways. So it's a
Mhm.
real interesting and fun app. I really like it. I've had a couple of clients that have come from, well, probably about 3 or 4 clients that have come from Clubhouse, specifically, and some pretty major Clubhouse contracts, I guess you would say, that where they work for corporations and things like that. And they just said, I've been watching you for months. I hear you every day. And it's no script. You just kind of, you may have a topic, but you really are in real time. And so that's why I really like Clubhouse. And a lot of the people in my Ready, Set, Go Speak and my Brand Accelerator, I bring them on as well and bring them on the stage, because if they're speakers, they have to speak. So I
Mhm.
need to, it's almost like I'm doing media training with them in front of everybody.
In real
So if
time.
they come on, it's like I will then hear how they sound, they will hear how they sound, and then
Mhm.
we course correct as we go. And it's a little bit easier than video, but video is still the top. I mean, that's where people really engage the most. They can see you, they can hear you, and then
Mhm.
they can really just have a different, almost like they're in person kind of a feel. But Clubhouse is the second best. Clubhouse, and then Twitter Spaces and Facebook has their own too, and LinkedIn we get in theirs, and they all follow the leader. But yeah, social
Uh-huh.
audio is going to be here to stay, because I think a lot of people may be shy about showing up on video a lot. And so this
Mhm.
gives them a little bit more comfort level. Then they can move into video. So it's kind of like you could do this, you could get on social media and do the posting, you could do the social audio apps in
Mhm.
real time, and then you can move into videos doing lives. And
So
then you
look
can
at this note from Diane. She said, "I'm one of those amazing women with wisdom you were referencing."
ah
Is she in
yes,
that circle? Okay.
yes.
Way to go, Diane. Yeah, look, here's the thing, and I have not I'm gonna give a different perspective just in terms of for those people who are like, "Well, I don't know which one I should do. Should I try to do them all?" And my only different perspective would be, I tried Clubhouse, Pam, and I was like, "Oh."
You gotta put in a lot of time. Yeah, you do.
It
You have
felt like a lot of work, which I don't have the time given that I juggle both the corporate still
mhm.
and my business and a bunch of other things. So I feel like I'm just like all over the place already, and I felt like, wow, if I gotta be on a stage for 3 hours, I can't do it.
Oh, the first time I was when someone invited me to a stage and we were there for over an hour, I wanted to bite somebody. I said, "You know what? I gotta get off of this stage." I was like, "I cannot do the hours," but people love the marathon of that. They
Yeah.
have some clubs that go 24 hours around. And I guess the most I've ever been on a stage is probably with my mentor, maybe George Fraser, but he speaks very well. I love him. So I could be
Mm,
on with him. He's like 77 years old. So I can listen to him all day. But
yeah.
anybody else, I'm not listening to you all day.
Oh,
Put on the video, I'll catch you later, whatever. I'm like, mm-mm. Yeah, it
speaking
does.
of that, let me ask you a question. I want your thought on this. Short or long form videos? Do you have a
Well,
thought?
the hot thing is the short. I mean, 8 seconds is like what people love.
Mhm.
Attention span is like ADHD. So the
Is that
shorter
what
the
made you
better.
start doing
But
more
if you
on
want
TikTok?
training,
Okay.
obviously longer. But as far as what people really want, 8 seconds or less is the 8 second attention
Okay.
span for just about anything.
Mm,
So people feel a little challenged in writing the scripts for something that's 8 seconds. How funny can you be? How entertaining? Uh,
mhm.
it, I just love the creativity that I see people with these short videos on these reels and TikToks and things like that because it does take it looks like it's easy, but I know it's not. I know
Yeah.
it takes some time to really figure out how to put that thing together, edit it, and have a call to action at the end. Mhm.
Mhm, mhm. And
Yeah.
that's what I wondered about that because I know you started doing I've seen you do TikToks, and have you done Reels also?
Mhm, mhm. Yep,
Okay,
I always do
because
reels.
I haven't done those.
Yeah,
I
between the two, I think TikTok is easier. It has
okay.
more open for you to use, better
Mhm,
filters, more music, easier to navigate, easier to find. Reels, which is owned by Facebook, whatever, is
yeah.
it's kind of it's a little clunkier. Some of the things you can't do as easy. That pointing thing where people are doing all that. That's easier for me to do on TikTok than it would to be do on Reels. But
Okay.
it's anything. It takes practice. But
Mhm.
my whole rule, if it takes longer than 15-20 minutes to put out, I'm
Uh-huh.
not I'm not doing it because I want to be able to do it in a casual kind of way, like, "Ooh, this is really easy, bam, bam, bam," and
Yep.
then that's what I could do. But if I have to like really it when it becomes like a job,
Yeah.
I have to hire someone because I won't have the bandwidth to really sit and do all the things that are necessary. Now, some people are really, really good at all of those things, and they're so good that they train other people. I
Mhm.
don't want to train people on TikToks and reels and all
Right.
that kind of stuff. That's just a
Mhm.
whole nother level of creativity that I just don't want to give to that right now. So I
Yeah.
do what I can because I mean you could do a reel just by doing pictures. You could
Mhm.
do really fast pictures and a filter and some music and boom, there you go. Put some words up and that's done. But as far as people like really writing their little scripts and things like that, I'm like, oh, those are frustrated directors, right? I'm like, no. Yeah, yeah.
And I love my happy place is live streaming. My happy place is helping people to see their worth and their value and to see that it can transfer over into a video space and they can have engaging conversations and discussions with people, just like we're having right now. And
Mhm.
also, someone is saying greetings since it's from, it looks like your community. I want to make sure to pop that up. So, hi,
Hey,
Maxwell.
Maxwell, Facebooker.
Awesome, awesome.
So you're streaming on
I'm
Twitter,
streaming on Restream right now. And
but I
so,
mean, like Facebook, LinkedIn.
yeah, Facebook, here's where we are live. And I usually do say this at the beginning, but I was just so like, hey, we're having conversation with Dr. Pam Perry today. I'm streaming from Restream today, and we're streaming on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Facebook, in multiple places. So
Is
we're all over.
Instagram letting you stream yet?
Who is it?
Like Instagram, IG.
Oh,
Can you stream?
not yet. Not
Okay,
yet. But I
I'll
mean,
be
there
glad when they could do
are workarounds.
that.
Me too. There are workarounds, but it's not the best way you can do it. And I tend to do this is just to do kind of like a little green room before I go and just
Mhm.
do it from my mobile phone before I
Okay.
go live. But yeah, I would love
There's
that.
work. Yeah, it is what you said. It's workarounds for everything. You can
Yes.
kind of, I call it, you can kind of jerry rig anything up on the internet.
You can.
And if you know one piece of equipment or how to do something, you can kind of get a workaround to get it to do something else. So the workaround would be if if we were streaming then on your laptop, then we would take the
Mhm.
phone and put the
Yeah,
phone here,
that's right. So
right?
I have a little connector. I have a handler that's right here. You can't really see it in my camera, but I have done that. I have
Hmm.
streamed in both spaces that way, but it's still more of a like a green room style. Because if I do a lot of screen share, like
Hmm.
slides and points going across the screen and that kind of thing. So I'm gonna figure out a way to transfer or translate that into Instagram, but it just hasn't been my priority.
Right, right. Yeah, it is. It's a workaround for everything. I want
Yeah.
to say hi to Nell. I see her there as well. So I
Yeah.
see that she's from Facebook as well. So it's just real interesting where people kind of catch the streaming from.
Mhm.
When I go onto YouTube, it'll usually alert who I'm following, who's streaming live. Obviously,
Mhm.
Facebook, you see who's streaming live, but Facebook can sometimes be a little crunchy. But I always look at the lives on LinkedIn, and that's where I am the most. So it's
Mhm.
Twitter, like we were saying the other day, Twitter doesn't pull the video as much, the longer video, the streaming as much as the other platforms.
Yep.
And when they used to have Blab, I don't know if you remember Blab TV, that was real
Mhm.
popular and people made a lot of money and they were doing the Blabs and then Blab went out of business.
They sure
I always
did.
tell people, I said, always make sure that you own your content. If they went out of
Yeah.
business and you had those blabs, hopefully you
And
saved them.
Vine. Remember those? The Vines? Hey,
Yes.
Janelle.
Oh, I know. I remember someone that went to Michigan State University. He made a lot of money from Vines. My daughter was at Michigan State at the time, and she thought he was a celebrity. And I was like, and he got on Good Morning America doing these Vines. I
Yeah.
remember Vines, and then they went out of business.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like,
So you're so right. You have to have control, keep control of your content. And
yes.
always, 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 no matter what you're making, make sure that you're saving it in your own real estate, your own space.
Please.
Because if
Yes.
you
Yes.
don't, you can lose access to it.
Ooh.
Somebody was asking me a question the other day about reels in my community. I have a community called Stream Bosses Academy. And so one of the members reached out and she said, "Hey, I did anybody notice that the terms of use for reels mentions that Facebook pretty much owns your content?"
What?
She was a little concerned about that, and I said, "You might wanna you can look at the terms of use there, but also go back and read the terms of use for Facebook in general, because it probably reads very similarly.
Mhm. Mhm.
But if you put anything on somebody else's space, it's like you're renting space in somebody else's house on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn,
Ooh.
all these places, you don't own them and you can't tell them what to do with your content." So what Dr.
Mhm.
Pam said is right on point. You must
Mhm.
save it. You must keep it somewhere.
Keep it somewhere.
Yeah.
Or pay for it if you want your videos on Vimeo or you have a premium channel of
Yep.
Amazon S3 or
Mhm.
Wistia. There's a lot of places where you can have it where you have a premium and it's, where you can have it stored and shared
Mhm.
and that sort of thing. So you want to make sure you're doing that because there's nothing worse than seeing someone just breaking down crying because YouTube disabled their YouTube
Yes,
channel because they violated some community rules or their Instagram got hacked and disabled and you can't reach anyone.
that's right.
There's just all kind of things. Facebook. It's like I don't
Mhm.
even know why they disabled me, and it's like all my stuff is there, my emails. That's how I communicate with people in the inbox. I was like, you need an email list. Don't just depend on the DMs. I said,
Yep.
if they disable, she said, Jeanette says, always own your stuff. Always,
Right.
always. And even too, like when you have your email list, you can use the free versions, but I always like that's so important. That's your gold mine. So I always like to
Mhm.
pay for mine. I use Active Campaign. So
Yes.
a lot of people I have, I communicate on Active Campaign on different lists and tag and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, own it, because it's oh
Mhm.
my goodness, I've seen so many people just crying because they lost
Mhm.
everything. They lost all their content, all their connections. Basically,
Yeah.
they're out of business, starting from
Yeah.
scratch.
Even if you're building like a Facebook group, one of the things that I started doing a couple years ago is I started using an app, and you can do this too. You don't have to use the same app I'm using. I'm using one called Group Leads.
Mm-hmm.
But as
Mm-hmm.
people end up signing up to be a part of your Facebook group, you can ask, those 3 membership
Yes.
questions that
Right.
you can
No
ask.
more than three. Right.
Mhm. It's just 3, but one of those questions can be, provide your email. Would you like to
Mhm.
provide your email so that I can communicate with you about marketing or updates in the community or whatever it is that you're going to
Mhm.
put there? And that way it captures all of your information into a spreadsheet so that you have that access to put it into an autoresponder, so Active Campaign or something else. Now,
Mhm.
what I am hearing is that Facebook is about to, and I don't know when, but they're about to give us access and ability to be able to capture email natively. So
That
within
would be
the group.
that takes away a step. Oh my God. That would take away a step, and that would be so much better. Because I
Mm,
have groups. I have a Brand Your Best Life group. I have the National Association of Black Podcasters group. I have the
mhm,
mentoring group. And so, those groups, they're on my email list. So they
yeah,
were on my email list and they sent them to the group. But if
mm.
someone finds me on Facebook and just went to the group, I wouldn't get their email. I mean, I could by what you said with the app and all that, but it's just like, so
It's
good,
just like,
Facebook.
no more
Yeah,
apps.
fix that Facebook, fix that part, Meta, or whatever they want to call themselves. They want to rebrand themselves with the Meta universe. Have you got into that? The Meta universe?
No, not yet. I'm one of those who kind of, like you said earlier, about lurking, kind of sitting back and watching and seeing what happens.
Yeah.
I'm sitting back and I'm kind of watching. I'm reading everything I can, soaking up all the information to see what role do I want to play in that space
Yeah. Yeah.
any?
Yeah.
Because
If
yeah,
it seems if it seems similar to gaming, which I'm thinking it probably is, I
mhm.
was never a big gamer. This household was never a gamer. Oh, someone says I'm so confused by Meta Universe. I know, but it
I
is.
know, girl.
It is.
I
That's why Facebook really kind of renamed themselves Meta,
know.
because it's going to be big. They're pushing it. Anytime they put money behind something, it's going to get big. But it just basically is kind of like a virtual life, I guess you would say.
Mhm.
It's like a virtual life where people can buy and sell on the Meta Universe. It's very different. And
It
I remember there was something a long time ago, Tanya. Remember, it was something I think it was called your life or something like that, where you can actually be a virtual person within
I
that.
remember
That would
that.
let you. Yeah, I
Yeah,
had
it's a
a person
quick
in
too.
there. Yeah, yeah. I was
But
like,
here, okay, look, if you want a really quick primer on what it's like, there's a movie called, and I read the book because I'm kind of a sci-fi geek, but it's called
oh,
Ready Player One.
I'm gonna write that
If you
down.
see the movie Ready Player One, it's kind of boring. The movie didn't do so well, but it gives you an idea of how you got these people that are in the real world, and then
Hmm.
there's this artificial world that is where they do everything because
Yes.
based on the likes and based on the social commentary and things that are happening in the space when they're playing their games and doing things in the artificial world, it builds up their credibility and it gives them a societal status based on all these points they earn. So I get the impression that this whole metaverse thing is kind of like that idea that we'll be
Mhm.
able, like you said, to shop. We'll be able to earn credibility and create
Yes.
these brands and, have these stores and even watch movies and do, these watch parties and stuff that people do together. We'll be
Mhm.
able to do that virtually and have little representative caricatures of ourselves in this space. All of these things are going to happen. And it's just like, I mean, my kids, when they used to play, what's that game? Wii. They used to play Wii and they had the bees
Mhm.
in my eyes.
Mhm.
Those characters similar. So if you really want to know what it might be like, yeah,
That's on
Ready
Ready
Player One.
Player One. I'm gonna go look that. And just talking about the different things that trend that come in that were big at one point and then they just go away. But
Yeah,
you just reminded me. One was watch parties. Remember that was a big thing, and then Facebook just got rid of it.
they're like,
But
boop.
then there was another social networking platform that I really loved, and it was called Ning. It's still around,
I
but
remember
in a different form. It was Ning,
that. Mm-hmm.
Ning.com. And I think the lady who started Ning started another one, which is an app, because Ning was really kind of native to being, on the laptop or desktop. But she
Mm-hmm.
started Mighty Networks.
Oh, and I'm on Mighty Networks now.
Mighty, yeah, because you could be on Mighty Networks because it is on your phone.
Yes.
Yeah, and she saw that. I mean, the lady is brilliant. She's really brilliant in terms of that. I can't think what her name is, but when she started Ning, it was growing. I mean, you would have a different club, and you have its own community. It's kind of like
Mhm.
a grown up Facebook group. you know,
That
and
is where Stream Bosses Academy is housed. It's
it,
inside. Yeah, all of my paid programs are inside of Stream Like a Boss Network on Mighty Networks.
Mighty Networks, yes, and it's very similar to Ning because remember Ning had everything, and so Mighty
Mhm.
Networks has everything because she
Yes,
started that, and but she put it in the app because she realized 65, 75% of people are really using mobile devices. They're
yep,
not using desktops or laptops and that sort of thing.
that's
So
right.
yeah, that was Mighty Networks, and there's another one called Circles, I believe it is. And you know, there's just a lot of different apps and things that people like to communicate.
Mhm.
Facebook groups is probably my least favorite, I guess you would say. That's kind of like my least favorite. Uh, there was one that begins. Oh, Telegram is another one. I love
Yes.
Telegram, but then it kind of gets a lot too many things. So Telegram was good as well. I like that. And one of my favorite places with people who they don't have a blog, I tell them to do Medium. And
Yeah.
I blog on my blog, but I said if you
Mhm.
don't have a blog, at least do Medium. And they were
Yeah.
like, "What is Medium?" and this and that. I said, "Well, Barack Obama blogs on Medium." Okay, they're like, "Oh,
Oh, I could do that too then.
yeah,
Like,
really?" So it's like the credit went up. You know, he's like he's using Medium. So yeah, so Medium is one of the ones that I recommend people Medium.com to use as well, and they can put videos on there as well. You know, any place you could do anything, video is going to be there, except
yeah.
for the audio apps. But
You
any
don't have
place
to have
else,
the excuse that you don't have a website up. You don't have to wait to go pay $3,000, $5,000 for a website. You can literally start wherever you are. So I
yes,
love that you said that about Medium because I forgot about Medium since I have had my own website and I design my
right,
own website.
blog,
But
yeah.
yeah, you can do that. You can be out if you want to get noticed, if you want to be visible. And I think Dr. Pam and I both say these things. If you want to be out there, you can be. It's about
Oh, yeah.
strategy. It's about deciding, making first the decision that you want to do it and that you're going to commit to putting yourself out there in spite of whatever fears you have.
Mhm,
Once you
mhm.
commit, the resources are there.
Yeah. And the thing that about LinkedIn, so for a long time I was like, how do those people get those LinkedIn newsletters, right? Because I went to do a LinkedIn. I have like 75 articles on LinkedIn. And I
Mhm.
was like, why can't I get a newsletter? Then all of a sudden they just open it up and then now everybody's got a newsletter. So
Yep.
what I do with my newsletter is the same name as the blog, which is I'm sorry, the podcast, the same name as the podcast, Get Out There and Get Known. And it's tips on how to get out there and get known. But what I put in the newsletter is the show notes. So you'll be in there and the video from the stream. So
That's
that's
smart.
the newsletter. Yeah.
Hmm.
And I do that every time I do a post. So it's not like I have to do new content. It's just recycled content, repurposed
Mhm.
content, not recycled, repurposed content on the LinkedIn thing because people may not go to my website to,
Yep.
to see the show notes.
Mhm.
So they're on the newsletter. And basically the show notes is like all the points, the talking points of what we're talking about. And
Yep.
it gives the resources and the links, and then it shows them the video. It shows them the video, and the video is sometimes I'll put the Spotify, sometimes I'll put the iTunes or the Apple Podcasts. I don't know why did iTunes have to change their name. What was that
I
about?
don't know. Why is everybody changing? It's like a fad.
Like, I mean,
Alex,
what was
thanks
wrong
for
with, what
the
was wrong with iTunes?
Yeah,
Like,
you see, Alex put a note. Your Facebook page says Pam. Yeah, well, it's actually me. I'm Tanya Smith interviewing Dr. Pam Perry, so that might just be a little glitch. Sorry, Alex.
your
Um,
oh, Alex saying that says that
your
Pam
Facebook
Perry. He
page,
means that my page is saying that I am interviewing
yeah,
Pam Perry. Oh,
yes, it's
okay.
probably because we're using
He's a
Twitter.
TV producer. He's a TV director, so he's gonna notice stuff like that. Alex,
Look, he
no.
said a true daily moment.
That's a Detroit thing. That's a Detroit thing. Daily cast that moment. Who went to Castech that was like the most famous? So we could kind of go through that. Diana Ross went to Castech. Sean Robinson went to Castech. Ed Gordon went to Castech.
There
Lily
you go.
Tomlin went to Castech. So it's a lot of people
Famous
that,
people.
yeah.
It might just be a little glitchy glitch. We're using something, and this is something I haven't used before. You saw when you popped in, Dr. Pam, that it said restream pairs. You could
Yeah.
broadcast to your own. Yeah, so that's a feature that's exclusive to
Oh,
Restream, and it
oh,
allows you to
I didn't
stream.
hear it.
Your interview gets streamed to your own pages in your own communities, which is why it allows us to expand our reach, which I love that, but that may be what the glitch is, Alex. That may be why it's doing it that way.
Yes, it says Pam Perry is now live on my page. It says join me this week. So it doesn't say who me is. It
Yeah,
just shows up that me. Join me this week for an interview with someone I admire and love, the amazing Pam Perry.
that was
So,
me saying
so
that.
the me is Alex is her, not me.
It's
I'm
me,
not
Alex.
schizophrenic.
And look, he said, Pam, what did he say? Pam Perry went to Cass Tech.
Oh yeah, he's just saying out of all the other people that I was naming that went to Cast Tech.
But
It
look, thank you, Christine. Loving this conversation. We did not even. I told Pam, I was like, I don't even have my like prepared questions. Usually, I try to have stuff all prepared and structured, but I just wanted to have a conversation. I just wanted to talk to you. We did not coordinate the pink, by the way.
Yes. No, we didn't. We both just love pink.
That's
And
hilarious.
they're not just the pink, but they're like the same color, like the hot pink. Like, you can have a pink, like a baby pink. I don't like the baby pink. I like the hot pink. So this is kind of like it's like we did not do that on purpose. But
It's just
one of the things too, when people are streaming and that sort of thing, the 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 um the thing that I always say to people is that your background matters. So your background is beautiful. I told you I really love that. And you have to give people a little bit of background on how you I know you probably did it, but give it to the people who miss it of what your background consists of because it's so cool. And I'll tell you mine as well.
so yeah, definitely. Here's what, and then I definitely want to answer your question, Erica. But first, we're going to do our background thing. I'm going to do it real quick and say this. I started out in a walk in closet. Okay. So I didn't start with everything done. This is why you can build the plane while you're flying, right?
Hmm, hmm.
So I realized at some point, hey, you know what? I am committed to doing this regularly. I'm going to do this for at least a year, once or twice a week. I committed to myself that I was going to do that because I wanted to see, is this going to change my following? Is it going to change what I'm doing? Because I was frustrated with social media.
Hmm,
And
hmm.
as I grew, as my audience grew, as I started to learn more and become more knowledgeable, I started piecing together what I like to call a sacred space. So, what I
Hmm.
teach my clients, what I teach my students in my programs is how to create a sacred space and how to pull together things that help remind you of your value, things
Ah,
that help empower you and make you feel like the person that you want to represent yourself to be on camera. And so for me, Wonder Woman has been it's always been my thing. It's something I have collected since I was a little tiny girl. I've got like a major collection. You can't see it, but this room, this closet that used to be where my studio was, is full of Wonder Woman stuff. And
wow.
I wanted to put things around me that represented that reminded me I was strong. This is my latest in the collection. She is new Wonder
Oh,
Woman.
she's cute.
She's Wonder Woman, like me. So I like to have little power symbols and things that, and it may be for you, it's something different. And you have to think about that. I was working with a client the other day and she told me, hey, this one thing, this picture is something that's important to me. I said, okay, put that in front of you before you go live, before you get on camera. But that's pretty much how I did it. It took time. I've been adding things to it as I go.
But
If
is that a real brick wall behind you, or is
It is
that
not.
a
No, this is peel and stick paper.
I love that, and people had to I just want you to tell people that because it looks like it's a brick wall. It's so rich looking. It's very
Yeah.
rich looking, but it's peel and stick, so you can create the things behind you that
Hmm.
will look good on TV. Alex will probably understand that because he does all this green screen stuff with people. Yes. Uh my background, basically, I wanted something that no matter what I wore, it wouldn't clash. That was my thing. So I wanted something that didn't clash, and so black. And so my husband said, so I sit here and then the lights are in front of me. Your internet appearance have been more beneficial to broadcast. Oh, thank you. Thank you. So that is, he's been 30 years working in Fox News. So he's that's a real compliment.
Thank
So
you.
I wanted something, and I told Mark, it was in the middle of COVID. I said, if I'm going to be sitting up here all day doing videos and Zooms, I said, I need sound, my sound to be right. And I also need the background. I said, I want a black velvet background. He was like, where are we going to get that? I said, Joanne Fabric. So we went out to Joanne Fabrics. We had no idea. I'm not a fabric person. I'm not a crafty person. But I said,
Mhm.
just buy a whole bunch of it and we're going to just tack it on the wall. And we just tacked it on the wall. And that's really what's behind us. It's just a black velvet. So it matches everything. I wanted this girly thing here. And I was like, okay, so how do I get this girly chair thing? I said, is it like, what do you do? So basically, I went to Joanne Fabrics again, got a piece of this kind of stuff and laid it over the top of the chair. And that was the thing. You just kind of, it's kind of like in theater
Yeah.
when you're trying to put up a set, you just kind of like make it work. And so that's my background. So no matter what I'm wearing, what color, whatever, my hair isn't black. So this may not work for you, Tanya, because your hair is black. So yours would fade
Right.
out. Right. So for me, it was okay. So black was okay. My husband is bald, so he don't have black hair, so he used to.
Matter.
But so you can kind of just see what that's like. But you have to play with your background and your sound. If you have a low ceiling as well, if you don't have a low ceiling, then you do need a mic, like some
Yes.
kind of mic. Yeah, because I have a this is like the iRig. I don't use this one, but when it goes into the iPhone, but I use this
Mhm.
when I go out and to make sure I take this tomorrow. But you usually it's a if you are in a conference and
Mhm.
it's loud in the room and you still want to interview maybe someone who was on the panel, but they're coming
Mhm.
off the stage and you say, "Hey, I'd like to interview you." You won't hear all the other sound around you, so you can capture
Yeah.
it in your phone live, and it'll just be you and that person. So that's one of the things I use because you know how sometimes you can hear someone's video and it's like, what all this
Yeah.
background in the
Oh.
background? And I always say that people can take bad visuals, but they
Mhm.
can't take bad sound.
Yeah.
That's more irritating.
Yeah.
If you have bad sound, people will click off of it. So microphones and the sound of how things are coming across is more important than how it looks. You can
That's
look crunchy, but you can't have crunchy sound.
right.
Mm,
Don't be
mm.
crunchy.
Don't be crunchy.
That's a hashtag. Hashtag don't be crunchy. Awesome. I'm seeing so many comments coming through. Thank you. And yes, let me mention this about the green screen, Jeanette.
Oh yeah.
Here's the thing, and I won't go into a lot of detail because some of you know my opinion on green screens, but the ultimate thing is that is how I started to choose that's how I chose the brick. Because before I had that, I had nothing, and it was I don't want to say ghetto, but it was out. And I started watching videos, and then I started playing around. I got a green screen. Like you, I went to Joanne Fabrics and I got me a
Mhm.
green screen with just some Joanne Fabrics on the wall. And then I started playing around with different images and backgrounds that I felt like would fit the need that I had. See, so how she's changing hers up right there?
Yeah, yeah. So just to
So
kind of like show a little bit of what would look like. See, I have to have a green screen because right now I am invisible.
right. Exactly. We can't see you now.
I know, I know.
But that's the thing, I wanted to play around before I picked how I wanted to design my set. I used green screen and I used images and backgrounds to kind of play around and see what do I like, what goes well with my skin tone,
Hmm.
what gives me the setting and the environment that I want to create. And I wanted that warmth, and I always hear that from people. They're like, "You have a very warm background." I'm like, "Good," because I didn't want it to be icy cold. I wanted it to fit my personality.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I just like yours fits your personality, but you took a whole different path to coming up with the idea. So that's the thing. You can come up with different ideas that will fit you. I need to pop a couple of these comments up, and then there's some questions for us too. First of all, Eileen in the house. I love
Hey, she was the
love
one that got me on a platform called Happy or
Haps
Hippie.
TV. Haps
What
TV.
was it called?
Haps. HAPPS.
Haps. I said,
Mhm.
Eileen got me over here on Haps. And so I jumped on there too. And thank you, Eileen. I was like, okay, let's see what HAPS is about. And the thing about being an early adopter is that it can be kind of lonely because then your friends aren't over there, especially my friends. They're a little older and they're like, "What is that? What
Right.
is that? You know, how do you get on Instagram?" You know. So anyway, I was like, I don't. Sometimes I don't even tell them about new platforms that I'm trying because they just
Yeah.
won't get it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But
I
HAPS is
mean,
the
the
one
good
that
thing about
uses it's streaming. Hmm.
and Eileen is doing excellent in Haps, and she does excellent anywhere because she's a
Yes,
live stream queen.
yes.
Um, but one
I've
of
been
the things
following
that
her a long time too. Hmm.
yes, yes, I think we all have known each other. We've all been in some of the same circles. The thing about Haps and about anything new, I like trying new things because it potentially gets more eyes. People that didn't know you get to see you.
Right. That's true. That is so true.
So,
Yeah, that is so true.
hey,
Because
look,
there's people that are on Clubhouse that says, "Oh, I've just been following you for 6 months." Don't be crunchy. Ah, that's my
hashtag
buddy.
don't be
My
crunchy.
facepreneur buddy.
Mhm. Oh, and Jeanette, I know you used green screen partially for the film and the video for plays. Yes, so it doesn't it makes sense to have a green screen. You just need to use it properly. You need
Yes.
to make
Yeah.
sure that you're using it the right way, that you have the proper lighting for it, that you are set up in a way that is going to make it not look like it's fake. You don't want people to
Mhm.
know, "Hey, that's a green screen." They shouldn't be able to say that. They should
Yes.
ask you, "Hey, do you have a green screen?"
Well,
Right?
think about weathermen, weather reporters, or weather whatever they are called. They all have green screen. So what if
Yep.
they were doing the green screen and their hand went away while they're pointing to, like, it's going to be 10 degrees outside. Oh, my hand is frostbitten.
Right.
So yeah, so you've got to get the right lighting for it, and you can't look ghosty. You can't have that thing around your head, and a lot of people too. And this is part of it that I think is you talk about your personality of your background, and people can probably do a study about this, but I think people who have a background where they have a lot of their awards and all their accolades or a lot of pictures of themselves,
Yeah.
it's a little bit too much. It's a little bit too much ego. And that's just their personality. Not no shade to it, but that's just they're very ego driven.
Mhm.
Someone who's more laid back, they probably wouldn't have a picture of like, oh, I every award I ever had, because I it's just like I'm laid back. I don't have to prove anything. So it
Yeah.
is kind of different when you see different things of people. I remember the mayor in Atlanta, Bottoms,
Keisha
Keisha Lance
Bottom, see it?
or Keisha, whatever,
Yeah.
Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Keisha
just
Lance Bottoms.
yes, that's it. Yeah, she had the 3 names, and she had pictures of her kids in the background, and so
Mhm.
we knew what was important to her because that was in the background. So the picture you saw a picture of her family in the background. As a matter of fact, she didn't run again. She was like, "You know what? My family's more important than all this stuff."
Yeah.
So that was, and it was always evident whenever she would do anything from her desk and things like that. So you can kind of just tell a little bit of things. I did television, the same thing. If you're going to do a live broadcast on television, the same thing Alex would tell you is that, wearing plain colors always helps your background, so a lot of times people aren't going into studios anymore. So they have to have like their studio set up if they want to get TV. So if you want to get on TV, you need to match them. You need to mirror the television station that you're going to get on. So you can't look crunchy. So if you want
Wait,
to
let me
get
pop it
on
up. Oops.
television, you have to look like you're ready to be on. Now, obviously, if I'm going on television, I probably take the little furry thing off and just look more serious and things like that. But you do want to make sure that you're matching that television station. And in terms of the appearance as well, I mean, you don't have to like go all out and say, oh, I'm going to go get a makeup artist, but it should look like for its television. You should have your colors coordinated. You should not have on anything like too distracting. I probably wouldn't wear these if I were going on like a broadcast network because they're too fluffy and for
Mm.
the 7 minutes that I'm going to be on, it's
So if you
like 5 of the minutes they're
oh, I
looking at the
see
earrings, like, what are those earrings doing? Because you're only on there for a few minutes. So you just want to make sure that you are mirroring more than likely the host of the show. If
yeah.
you look at Hoda or any of the people who are on the morning shows or on your morning show, and you would dress or imitate their style. Not
Yeah.
to say that you can't do your own style, but you want to go into the culture of where you want to be perceived as someone who's like, oh, they took a little bit of time to understand our culture. That's good.
Makes a lot of
They
sense.
understood our culture, and so they'll take you more seriously. If you come in looking too much like, ooh, she looked like Bozo, she got too much going on. It's like, oh my god. It's like then you may not be invited back,
Yeah.
or you just blew your chance. She just blew.
Hmm.
So that's just one of the things. Just
Y'all are
just a
hearing
little
some
media
wisdom.
training tip. Yeah, a little media training tip.
All
Just
this media training that she's dropping bombs about right now and dropping nuggets about this, you could be paying for this, but she is giving it to us all free.
yeah,
Look,
because I want everybody to get out there and get known.
I
Yeah,
want to
I
try
really
to
do.
ask, I need to ask you about ego marketing before we wrap, but I want to try to get to a few questions. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, let's get to a couple of questions because I know there's several in here. First of all, hey back, TJH Media LLC.
Yes.
Eileen mentioned that she's focusing more on Ecamm Live and StreamYard now, but she tried Restream Paris too. Let me find, I know there were a couple of questions. I think Mr. Alex
Alex
and
probably had
Eric.
one.
Okay,
Alex probably
first,
had one. He says, "Would a service help people? Okay, would a service to help people make their Zoom or Skype be beneficial to folks who are interviewed,
let
or
me pop
is it? I think he was saying, or is the public use
used
to
to bad
bad?
visuals.
Oh, it's a public use to bad visuals. That yeah, no. Well, there are some services that will really help because if you're going to broadcast on PBS or something like that, and our friend who's a producer, Claire at PBS, she's like, no, they can't use Zoom. They have to have a certain level of things, and that's a whole production thing. But yeah, no, people aren't used to bad visuals if they're going to do broadcasts. But I guess if you're doing YouTube and things like that. But when you really see the big influencers, people like
Yeah.
Tanya, they have good video. It's good
Mhm.
resolution. It's good sound.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're coming out of the phase where you just can't be, you know,
Willy
crunchy.
nilly. Don't be crunchy. Somebody put it in the comments again. Here's the thing that I learned about Zoom actually just within the past 24 hours. I learned that they literally, when they're streaming, if you're streaming from Zoom, you're automatically going to have a decrease in your resolution down to 360 pixels.
That's why I
It's
don't use
not
Zoom. Not for that. And
good.
especially
It's
for a
not.
podcast, if you want to take that bit rate and stuff, that's low too. Hmm.
You don't wanna do that. So, really, even though in the past I've kinda given people a pass on that, after I learned that, I was like, "Oh, no, because nobody needs to be doing 360 pixels right now. You need to do at least 720, which is gonna be what you do anyway on Facebook Live. Even if you
Hmm.
have 1080, they're gonna reduce you to 720, but you need to be conscious about the resolution because a lot of people have bigger monitors now. So, they might be watching on their phone, but maybe they're like, well, let me go look at this on my desktop or my
Smart
laptop
TV. Yeah.
or my smart TV. And then it's looking crunchy.
You don't want that.
Yeah.
You don't want that. That is so true because a lot of times when you see people who are Zoom is just they were the first in the game, right? When the pandemic hit, it was like kind of like, everybody was zooming, zooming, zooming. So they Zoom means like live stream basically. So
Yeah.
they didn't feel they had to try as hard, right?
Mhm.
Because people are going to use them anyway. So their
Yep.
sound isn't as good, the bit rate for that this and it's just like the average person wouldn't really know,
Right.
but there are other better platforms that people can use. They're just not
Mhm.
as familiar with them. But
Yes.
Zoom is like the big dinosaur in the space. I wish
Mhm.
I would have bought some of their stock when the pandemic hit. Oh my God. It was just like whatever. But yeah, that
Here's
is one of
another
the things.
question too. Can you suggest a cost-friendly streaming platform like Restream? Restream, StreamYard,
Yeah.
Melon. Melon, I think, was on AppSumo, Erica. So you may want to go check it out and see if they're still there. I think it was $99 one time. And they're a pretty decent platform. I haven't had any issues with them. I've tested them out. The last couple of weeks, my streams were through Melon.
Hmm.
So, I like Ecamm Live, but I'm just starting to get to know it because I just bought an iMac, like,
Ah,
literally within the
okay.
past 2
So yeah,
weeks.
so you could do the eCam. Yeah, one
Mhm.
of the things that I just bought was the Rodecaster sitting over here to the side. looking
So
intimidating.
you're looking like a DJ with a switchboard.
Oh my God. I was like, you know what? I knew I have this alter ego, want to be like D Nice, want to do
Yeah,
like a DJ kind of
I
thing.
love
It's
being
like I
nice.
want to be that person, like hype it up. But I was like, oh, this is a piece of machine right here. So anyway, I liked it because I want to do the sound effects. That was really the main thing. I want to do the sound effects, a little applause and a little
Yeah,
clap. Blah, blah, blah. So
yeah.
anyway, when I do my clubhouse tonight, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to set it up so that it goes through my clubhouse. So that's one of the things. But that came after I have been doing this for a while. So I did
Yeah.
clubhouse for about a year, and so then I said, well, I'm going to increase my clubhouse uh, rooms by putting sound effects in there. You can also pre-record and put things in there that you can play through there as well. George
Mhm.
Fraser, I was in his room, and Dr. Stacey NC Grant, she had she was probably doing the roadcaster and played in the entire speech of George. And then he commented about it and had people ask questions about it. So it was kind of cool.
That's
Yeah. So that was like a good thing. So yeah. So she
Look,
does.
Alex had another question for us too, and then I'm gonna just kind of scan through and see what other questions. Do you see that question
Yeah.
from
He says, for both of you, has your internet appearance been more beneficial than broadcast appearances, radio and television? Um, so it's really because they all coincide together, right? So if I have a television interview, most of my friends probably wouldn't see it because they're not sitting around watching television. So if I have a television interview or a radio interview, your terrestrial radio interview, I'd have to share it on social media for people to see it. They may not even watch it, but they're applauding because they know it came vetted through the newsroom and it was vetted through a journalist, and they know that not everybody gets on television and radio. So it's a better level of credibility that you have versus like just flipping open your camera and just saying I'm streaming.
hmm
But so they do go together, but I would say I probably have had most of my clients who have seen me, they watch you longer on social media. So I've been doing this for 20 years. So most people will say, I've been watching you for months, for weeks, for years, and I trust you.
hmm
But immediately the trust can be so great with people if they're on television immediately. But it takes a while to even get on television, to get on major networks. So a lot of times people will do their internet video and their internet content for a while and then uh, eventually parlay into the broadcast world. So yeah, so they go together, but you definitely, I mean, the dream is that everybody wants to be on television. They want to be on some kind of network, right?
Yeah.
That's the dream. I mean, now people have Hulu and they have Roku, they have Amazon Fire, they got
hmm
all this OTT platforms, so people can have their own TV stations now.
Yep.
And people who work in broadcast, it's kind of like journalists who used to turn their nose up to blogs, like, oh, they're just a blogger. But broadcast people think like, oh, they're just on Roku or they're just on Amazon Fire. So, but it's a real thing because the average person doesn't know. They just want the content. So if they
That's
can watch it on their phone, if they can watch it on their smart TV, it's just television to them. They don't care what it's on. If they like the show, they're gonna like the show. They don't care if it's on Art and Entertainment, A&E, or Lifetime. They don't care. It's just they want to watch. If it's a good show, it's a good show. Hmm.
Look, you team road now.
Yes, I am Team Road now. So I'm gonna have to call you because it is TJ. It is like, okay, it's intimidating. It's a piece of equipment. Part of it is that when I use it, I have to use a different mic, and so it's like I said, I'm like a 15-minute kind of a person. It's like if it's gonna take me longer than 15
Yeah.
minutes to really learn a lot of it, I'm like, I'm not doing this. So, but I have to be
hmm
patient. This is something that I said I wanted to step up and improve on. So
That's
yeah,
right.
I'm Team Road. Yeah, Team
And
Road.
I have a stream deck that can do sounds and all of that other stuff, but I hardly ever mess with it. Honestly, I'll probably be better. I'm going to work on improving later this year to do all the sounds and all the things. I have that, and I have a Wave XLR because this is a Rode mic. So this is if you can see it, it's a Rode pod mic. So
Mhm,
I do like
mhm.
Rode products.
Yeah.
And honestly, this is probably my favorite mic out of all the ones, and I've tried a lot of them, all of the ones that
Mhm.
I've had.
Oh,
Also,
we had so
Eileen
many mics.
says she's going to connect with you on Clubhouse, Pam.
Oh yes, I'll be there
I
tonight,
need to bring
9 o'clock.
myself back out to Clubhouse and hang out with Miss Pam and Eileen.
Yeah.
I'll come out there.
Yes, that is it's really, really cool. I mean, we have our regulars that come in, everybody comes up on stage. So it's like we're having a conversation. So we don't it's very informal. Yeah, I'm gonna love it. I hope so. I hope I do, TJ, because it's like I just want it to work. So yeah. Yeah. So Clubhouse is where Tuesdays and Thursdays. I used to do it every day, but I just do it Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9 p.m. And you just have to do what works for you. I mean, there's no written rules to any of this stuff. That we're in terms of the internet, it's at its sophomore. It's like a teenager now.
Yeah.
We went past the infancy, the toddler stage was clumsy, and now it's a teenager, and it's just like buck wild crazy, right? Just a whole lot of stuff. And so, pretty soon it'll be like adult, and it's
Mhm.
very, you'll be able to pick the platforms that you like, stick with it, and just really not feel intimidated by any of it. But right now, it's like the teenage years. It's just like, I don't
Yeah.
know what to do. And
Mhm.
ever and people are changing the names of stuff. They're taking stuff down. It used to be Facebook, now it's Meta. I mean, so we've got to realize that it's always changing. It's going to always be changing,
Change.
and be okay with that. Don't be a person that says, "Oh, I'm not. I'm just going to sit here. I'm not going to change." I mean, I remember my parents. They were like, "Oh, I'm never going to get a computer." Well,
Mhm.
so a lot of people they only see their doctor via virtually, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, you got telemedicine. So if you don't
Yep.
want to do a computer, how are you going to during the COVID? Telemedicine was a thing, so so you have to keep up with certain things. That's why cryptocurrency. You got to know a little bit about that, a little bit
Yeah.
about just know a little bit about it. Don't be clueless.
And just like mine, because I have a wealth advisor that I'm working with in that space, because I'm like, I don't know enough to really I don't want to make bad decisions at this point. And she's like, hey, it's all about putting your toe in the water and starting small and just being consistent. And I feel like that same thing works with everything.
Yes.
You can start where you are and just be consistent and always be a learner. I
Mm-hmm.
always
Hmm.
teach people about that whole idea of growth mindset versus fixed mindset. That when you
Yes.
have a growth mindset, you're thinking, okay, I don't know how to do this now, but at some point I will. Like if I really put effort into it and I go and get the resources to learn it, I'll do better.
Hmm. And
So
you can
it's
figure
more,
it out.
you will
Everything
figure
is
it out.
figure outable, as Marie
And you
Folio
don't
would say.
have to be everywhere and do everything. Please
Oh,
stop.
there's
Don't do everything.
Allegra.
Well, this has been fun. And we were on way longer than I intended. And I'm so sorry because I know you have things to do. And I have to go hit a basketball game here for
Okay,
my
okay.
14
Real
year
quick,
old.
Alex asks, he says, Pam, for your clients, do you help them with their Skype setups?
Oh,
I don't. Skype used to be the thing that we would use now, but now we don't do the Skype as
yeah.
much. But I know that as a better resolution for TV, Skype is.
And Eileen says Skype is losing market share. So that's
It
something
is. It is. But they kind of teamed up with Microsoft, and they just figured like, hey, whatever happens,
right on
we
there.
got right. I'm right on Microsoft's team, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, they got that. But, it's kind of like a difference between someone who uses Outlook and someone who uses Gmail. Which team are you going to be? If somebody uses Zoom or they use Teams, it's just, iPhone or Android. So it's like,
Pick
it's
a side.
always going to be two different sects, Republican, Democrat, I guess, that kind of thing. So it's just always going to be two. And it's like, which side? So, like, you just got the iMac. So now you'll be switching over to a lot of their products, right?
Yeah, I had everything else. Like I had an iPhone and I had all that. I had an
iPad.
iPad.
Hmm.
I just refused to move over to a Mac. And
Hmm.
now that I am finding myself, I'm starting to slowly but surely enjoy it, but I definitely had to go and repurchase different types of apps and
I
software.
know you do.
That was a beating.
Yeah, that's where they get you. That
Mm,
is where they get you when you have to add and load on different things. It's like it doesn't come like with the PC. So yeah,
yes.
that is part of. I have both. Uh, the always the go to was the first one I had, which was the PC.
Yeah.
But the Mac is just amazing. It is. It syncs with everything. It's just a whole nother way
Yeah.
to do business. And I usually when I travel, I don't take my laptop, my PC. I take my Mac.
Yeah.
It's
And
light.
I got the big iMac, so I can't take it anywhere because it's not portable. But I also have the 13-inch iPad, so I'm just gonna
Mhm.
go with
Oh,
that
yeah.
when I go.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Cool. Well, yeah, this is good. But the main thing of our point of us doing this live was to show people how relaxed you should be, just like you're talking to a friend.
yeah. And
That's it,
hopefully you
and don't be
can
afraid
talk
of
to
it.
friends. Like you can make friends and then talk to friends online.
Yeah, yeah. That is. Hey, during quarantine, it was like the way that most people didn't lose their mind because they were streaming and talking and zooming and all of that because we couldn't
Yeah,
go anywhere.
yeah,
So yeah, it's and then even like our conferences and things like that. People are doing hybrid. They're not doing the full conferences. They're smaller. I'm going to a conference tomorrow, so they're smaller, and you just it's a new normal, which is okay. So we just got to just learn to look at the positives of it
yeah.
and embrace it. Hmm.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and call it a wrap, but
Thank
this has
you,
been so
Eileen.
much fun. Thank you, TJ. He's true story. Yes, it
Hmm.
is a true story. All these things, and you also have both the PC and the Mac. Thank you for spending time with me and with all of us this evening. It has been my honor to have you here on my stage, and thank you for having me on your stage this week
I
too. That was
know that was just like a really like this was the Tanya week. It was good. It was good. But thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it and really getting used to this restream studio that we're in as well. I like that. I like that as well. But yeah, so I did you said that was new, the pairing. So I
yeah.
guess is it sharing on my YouTube channel as
It should
well as oh my
if you connected and gave it permission to do
I
that, you have
did.
to run a check, but it should.
Yeah,
So
so
yeah.
I'm the type of person I punching buttons. I'm just like punching buttons. I'm like, okay, yeah, accept,
Let's see
accept.
what
I
it do.
do. Yeah, I'm just like, okay, yeah, fine. Yeah, yeah. So I didn't know it was stream. I didn't know what I was doing, but I will punch a button. So
And
that's one of the things that early adopters will do. It's like, oh, okay, let's go
yeah.
here.
Now,
Mhm.
if it wasn't you, I probably would have laid out, okay, so here's what to expect. But I knew I'm like, she's an experimenter and an early adopter like I am, so she'll just go with it.
I did. I like that. I did. I see it up there now. Now Alex brought it to my attention that it was showing there, so I didn't realize that that's what it was doing. So I knew it was sharing on yours, but now it's sharing on this one. So yeah, it's Restream is cool. Experiment with a lot of things, guys. Really, technology is to make our life easier.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid. Hmm.
All right, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful and an amazing night. If you enjoyed our conversation and you've been watching, I want to make sure that you go ahead and click like, subscribe, and follow from whatever channel you're watching from. So it may be Dr. Pam Perry's spaces that you're looking at. You want to make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. And also, yes, let me pop that in there. Let me go ahead and do that. I was going to ask you earlier. In fact, I started writing it. So let me type this in here for you real quick. But definitely pamperrypr.com. We want to make sure to pop that up so that everyone knows.
Yes, everything is there. They can get a free course or a little master class on the 7 things that the media looks for if you want to get on TV. So go to pamperrypr.com, put in that in there, and you can do that. And also you can subscribe to the podcast that I do every week. Get out there and get known. But definitely get the 7 things that the media looks for.
Take a
Mhm.
look at that. I think I need to go pick that up too, because it's
Yeah.
probably time for me to start expanding.
It's the next stage. It's the next phase. It really is. Are you ready? You ready? Girl, you
I'm
ready? She
slow.
ready?
I'm a little slow. Everybody follow, please make sure that you follow, like, subscribe, and also do the same over at streamlikeaboss.tv. I would love to stay connected with you in some way, even if it's just to inspire you with a simple tip or something that I can share that will help you to do more on camera content. So
Mhm.
we're going to wrap. Have a good night.
All righty. Thank you guys. Thanks for showing up and being involved. Thank you, Tanya. All
Thank
righty.
you.
Bye.